Director, can you tell us what happened here today?
Well, we set, for the first time ever in Ohio's history, minimum standards for the use of force, deadly force, recruitment, and hiring. And that's the policy statements, and of course the other elements of that include the awareness within an agency, the proficiency within an agency, and then making sure the agency takes action when someone within that agency steps outside that policy. So fortunately, most agencies in Ohio have standards that either meet or exceed. But what we're really after is trying to raise the bar so those agencies that don't have these policy statements or those other elements are able to have a good guidepost of where they need to be.
To be clear, is it just the policy statements that are moving today, or is it all four of those elements?
So every standard that we set forth will have those four elements.
But have those other three elements been finalized yet then?
Yeah, the other three elements are basically you just have to make sure everyone's aware of it, you train in it, and that the agency takes action. So those will always be, those four elements will always be with the standard.
For the average Ohioan who's concerned about police officers shooting civilians, as we've seen in these cases, what, if anything, do these standards do?
Well, it reassures them that we are committed as the state of Ohio. I mean, as the director has said, this is the first time in Ohio's history that any policies have been set that will go out statewide. The collaborative, though, in both of our opinions, we're going to have to get out there and make sure that the community knows that this has happened. And this is a starting point, it's certainly not the ending point, but it should give them great comfort that from the task force, from January to April, and now from April to now, that we are taking actions on what the task force has requested be done to give some more surety to the community that they will be protected. And then also to law enforcement as well, because again, this is a two-way street. We got to have both.
Senator, you raised concerns about some of this language not representing the community. Do you feel like what was finalized and agreed upon addresses that issue?
I do. We got there, and we have prided ourselves as a body to come to consensus, and that is a beautiful thing. I do think that we have finally gotten there. Again, we'll continue to debate these issues, and the fact that you do have lay people in the room as well as law enforcement. The tension that we saw in this room today is the tension that goes on in real life. There's a difference between what is legally allowed but what is morally right. And that tension, I think, is going to continue, and that is what the community struggles with. Whether or not they understand what is legally allowed, but in their mind they know what is morally right, and we have to bridge the gap between those two, and it's the collaborative job to lead on that. And so this was very real life in this room today, and we are really proud of that tension, but we came to the consensus, and we are going to get out there collectively to help the community understand that. We still have another phase to go through, which is the community engagement, community empowerment, and community education part as well.
Great. Thank you all. We're going to get
Thank you.
started. Thanks for coming.